Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now guys, we all know that corruption goes on in Nigeria. That is not news to anybody, but sometimes when you come across the details of the corruption that does go on, it jars your senses somewhat and you are alarmed at the sort of goings on that you're reading about. So with that guys, I bring you this. Reps reply Buhari on 1 trillion constituency project claim. So that's the headline. Reps reply Buhari on 1 trillion constituency project claim. So now let's find out exactly what is going on here. The House of Representatives on Wednesday replied President Muhammadu Buhari on his recent claim that the National Assembly had wasted 1 trillion naira on constituency projects without corresponding impact on citizens in the last 10 years. President Buhari, whilst speaking at the National Summit on Diminishing Corruption in the Public Sector, claimed that the constituency projects had gulped 1 trillion naira but with nothing to show for it. He said the first phase report of tracking these projects by ICPC confirms our worst fears that people at the grassroots have not benefited in terms commensurate with the huge sums appropriated for constituency projects since inception. I am, therefore, delighted that through the efforts of ICPC, some contractors are returning to site to execute projects hitherto abandoned and that project sponsors are being held to account. The minority leader Ndudi Elumelu raised a point of privilege to challenge the claim during plenary on Tuesday. According to Elumelu, the president misinformed Nigerians about the actual amount spent on constituency projects. Elumelu said that less than 50% is released annually to fund constituency projects, adding that executive is responsible for execution of the constituency projects, not the lawmakers. In the past 10 years, 100 billion naira has been budgeted annually, but our constituents have not gotten value for the money spent. Yes, the money has been budgeted, but the release has not been up to 30%. Section 4 of the 1999 Constitution gives us the power to make laws, but the onus is on the executive to execute the project. We are not contractors. It is painful that 100 billion naira is budgeted but released, and I can authoritatively say that less than 40% has been released in 2019. ICPC failed to tell the president the percentage released, he stated. Also speaking on the point of order, the deputy minority leader, Toby Okechukwu, PDP Enugu, put the blame on the executive, noting that the partial releases were responsible for the abandoned projects across the country. The breach of privilege is the preposition that money is given to parliament. Ours is to make laws. We make laws, but we do not execute projects. The reason you have abandoned projects is because of release. I know that this government has budgeted 8.6 trillion annually in the past 4 years. Does it now mean that we have spent that said amount in the past years? The speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, in his reaction, said the statement is a breach of our collective privileges. However, the speaker blamed the ICPC for the statement by the president. My concern is for the unintended consequences of the words from the report of the ICPC. Is it okay for the National Assembly to be used as a whipping boy? The ICPC can use the freedom of information to request for details of the projects. I don't think the ICPC will appreciate it if the National Assembly should do oversight on the agency using the budget. I want to use this medium to send a word to the ICPC to be careful and to do their job diligently, the speaker said. So now, as I said, when you start to bore into the details of the corruption that is going on within the Nigerian space, your eyes pop and your eyes water. Because really, if you look at some of these figures that they are talking about, it's really mind-blowing figures. 1 trillion naira, by the way, is close to about $3 billion. This is what we're talking about. It's about $2.7 billion is what we're talking about now. So what this guy is now saying, Malam Buhari, is that close to $3 billion has been dispersed to these people for community projects in their individual constituencies. But then when you send people round to go and inspect these projects, nothing has been found on ground, or things have just been put there to like a 10% stage and abandoned. So abandoned or unstarted projects all over the country, which these people get allocations for constituency projects. And now when you are inspecting them to see how far they have gone with these projects or what impact these projects are having on their community, all you find on the sites are fallow grounds. So this is what Malam Buhari is alleging. So now the counter argument from the House of Representatives is that, look, these figures that you are banding are misleading, because yes, we might budget for these figures, but as you well know, budgeting for a figure and getting the release for that budget are two different things. And the release that they get, they are saying, is between often 30 to 40% of the actual budget. What they've then gone to say subsequently is that, look, we don't actually even execute these projects. It's actually the executives that execute these projects. So now, even if we take that argument and we take Buhari's position and then we slash it by half, we're still talking about $1.5 billion that has been now dispersed, and there's nothing on the ground showing for it. So now what happens next is really where the question is. This is really where we have to arrive at. What happens next? Because it is crime and punishment. If there's a crime, then there should be a punishment. So it is all well and good to go in the papers, to go around the media houses and make all this noise and look good that, oh, I've identified 1 trillion naira that has been dispersed to these people, but there's nothing on the ground to show that is commensurate with this sort of spend. So you've identified that, good. Now you set the ICPC to go look into the details of this, good as well. So now at the end of that, then we want to see a result. So we now want to see either those projects completed in all these individual constituencies that monies has been allocated for, or we want to see where the money is and how the money is then recovered back into the coffers of the states. So this is now what really needs to happen. So it cannot just end with Malam Buhari going in the papers to say, oh, 1 trillion naira has been dispersed and there's nothing to show that is commensurate. So that's all that publicity stunt as far as I'm concerned. The end result of a project either being completed or somebody being dragged through the courts to recover money is really what I want to see. And I suspect that that is what the majority of Nigerians want to see as well. Conversations in the comments section, they're just looting that country dry. Also, Malam Buhari is going after the National Assembly and the House of Reps. But what about what is going on in Aso Rock? Is really where the question is, because that is really where the real movement of money is. What is going on in the Ministry of Defense? This is really where the real movement of money is. So you can go after all this House of Reps all you like, but really the real movement of money, we all know where they are. So what is going on in the executive is what we want to know. What is going on in Aso Rock? What is going on in the oil ministry, which Malam Buhari has appointed himself as head of? This is all what we want to know. How is Indimi getting all these oil blocks is really where the question is. So a lot of questions, but we start off with this House of Representatives and House of Assembly, because these people, I have a particular disdain for them, and I especially have a real loathing for these constituency projects, because the role of the Senate, the whole of the houses, as these guys rightly said, is to create laws. They don't really have any business in doing any constituency projects, but then of course these constituency projects is just really pocket money for them. It's money for them to put in their pocket and to put to one side for their next campaign or whatever. So this is just a wolf money, but then that a wolf money, of course, is coming out of the coffers of the Nigerian state. So when a 7-year-old child then has to trek like about 10 miles to some snake-infested river to go and fetch water because the borehole that should have been built in a village has not been built, that is the price of that constituency project. So you see, this is not free and easy money. There's a consequence, and that consequence is the sort of analogy that I've just used now of that kids having to go 10 miles to go fetch water. So now a result is what we want to see at the end of this, but at least a step in the right direction. Conversations in the comment section. Come tell me what you are making of all this. Malam Buhari is now calling somebody Barawo. Can you imagine that? The chief Barawo himself now calling somebody else a Barawo. Come tell me what your thoughts are in the comment section. But before you come share thoughts, click on the red subscribe button so it turns gray. The bell button notifies you every time I drop a new video. Then come tell me what you are making of all these constituency projects and money for the boys that goes on in all the House of Rep and Senate, etc. in Nigeria, including the local governments as well, because they all do it. It's right across the board. So come share thoughts with me about all this in the comment section. So I'll leave you here. Join me in the comment section, but here I say peace.